So another year, another Russell Crowe exorcism movie. Last year we got The Pope's Exorcist. This year we got The Exorcism. Next year we've got who God knows what. I don't know. So this one stars Russell Crowe. And he is a washed-up actor who's trying to make his comeback in an exorcism movie. And he has this kind of, say, rocky relationship with his daughter, played by Ryan Simpkins, who is the sister of Ty Simpkins from Insidious. We know her from the Fear Street trilogy. And so he gets on set, and it's like a cursed production, much like The Exorcist or The Omen or whatever. And the exorcism becomes real. You know, okay, I want to say this. This had promise because I think it set up interesting stuff. One of the things that I'm always bitching about with exorcism movies is that they're all the same. You know, somebody gets possessed and priests are called in and they exorcise the demons and they sacrifice themselves or whatever. Or, come into me, demon, and then they kill themselves or they vanquish it somehow with the word of God or some nonsense bullshit that they do in every one of these. And it's old. It's, you know, it worked in The Exorcist, and everything since has just kind of been, for the most part, derivative and boring, and you know, and I'm always here for some kind of reinvention of this genre, subgenre of horror. And you know, having this be from the perspective of a movie, which they kind of like hint at that they're remaking The Exorcist in the movie, I guess. It doesn't really matter, but they're making an exorcism movie, and I thought, like, okay, that could be cool. That could be an interesting spin. You know, everybody thinks it's acting, but it's actually somebody's going wrong. They don't utilize that shit at all, by the way. So that's a big problem. And then they build this, like, relationship between the father and daughter here. And I'm thinking, like, okay, this could really go places. And this is one of the more underdeveloped movies. It feels so half-baked. And it really sucks because I really wanted to like this movie because the writer-director of this his name's Joshua John Miller. And he is a child actor that I grew up watching the films of. He plays Dr. Chalice's son in Halloween 3. And most notably for me, he was in a movie called The River's Edge, which I grew up on. He's in Near Dark, which I just showed Kaylee recently. And, you know, I've seen him in so many things, Death Warrant, whatever. And he's been writing movies lately. And he directed this one as well. And I was like rooting for him. And oh boy, the horror in this is as generic as humanly possible. And so he has no flair or style for horror, right? And you have someone like Russell Crowe, who might be phoning it in at this point in his career, I guess. But I don't feel like he is, right? Because that's the way this movie feels. And it's like, no. The Pope's Exorcist, while wasn't good, I thought he was super memorable in a very unmemorable film.
Yes.
I think his character is, like, hilariously endearing. And he's, like, adorable on his little Vespa. And this accent he's got. And I really, really liked his performance in that movie.
The Pope's Exorcism also had a memorable and interesting ending as well. And this, I think that you, like, generic is kind of like the perfect word for this movie. I hated it. I honestly is probably in my top 10, like, worst of the year.
Yeah.
I think it was so bad. It was so bad on so many levels. I didn't like performances from anybody. I didn't like the relationship between the father and the daughter. I felt like that was totally wasted.
Because it doesn't go anywhere.
I didn't like this, like, you know, the story of a failing actor who's, you know, battling with addiction and, like, using demonic possession as an analogy for that, which has been done a ton of times because it's an effective and like an apt analogy. But this just like it barely did anything with that. I thought the horror was abysmal. There was no atmosphere.
None.
There was like a really weird editing moment that we both like, that we noticed, and we had to like watch a few times because we were like, what was that? And it's like the only one. It was just bizarre. It was really bizarre. And I don't know. I don't want to like bash it too much, but I hated it. Like it's just very uninspired, very like generic to the upteenth degree. And I'm somebody that really likes religious horror movies. I'm a big fan of them for the most part. And I even like, especially like demonic possession movies, exorcism films. I'm into those because I think that it is a really scary concept. And I think that, like, as I said, it can be used as an analogy for a variety of, mental illness or addiction battles. And I like that. I like that it can be done that way, but this just didn't do it. And I also don't like the way that like Christianity and like the faith is addressed in this. I think that was also a big failure for me.
Well, I think, one of the biggest failures of this film for me is that they bit off so much more than they could chew. They were trying to do this like daddy-daughter, a strange relationship because of the death of the mother thing. They were trying to do this, alcoholic, drug addict, failed movie star trying to make his return. They were trying to do this like cursed production movie. They were trying to do this, this allegory thing with drug addiction and this and that. They were trying to do so many things, and because of that, everything is just underdeveloped.
I think all of those things could have been tied into each other. I just think that the writing is bad, honestly.
But the point I'm getting at is like they do absolutely nothing with the movie production.
Oh yeah, that's a huge missed opportunity.
They don't even try.
Yeah.
They don't even bother with an explanation of what is even happening.
Of like
where this came from.
Cursed
because it's not him.
Yeah.
We know that because of how the movie starts.
Yeah, that's
so there's no backstory to this, which, I don't want some big long expositional scene of them going to meet the chick from Texas Chainsaw Massacre and she explains it all to him, or Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, the backstory is not, would it be nice? Sure, if it's good and interesting, of course, but as you already said, like, they don't do anything with the cursed production, which is the most interesting part about this movie, because there are so many of these famous horror films that had cursed productions. Yes. So taking that concept would have been really cool, but there's barely any, like, stuff happening on set, and it's so underutilized and so not a focus of the movie at all.
There's only like two things that happen really on the set, really, when it comes to the overall
like the demonic presence.
Sure. So you obviously have the opening scene, and then you have this scene where he has like a breakdown. But it doesn't really ever amount to anything. There's a lot of like scenes in this movie where it seems like that's going to be a big deal, or something big just happened. Yeah. And then it's just kind of like, no.
Yeah.
Like he does something like really major on set and then they're just home.
Yeah.
And then something happens where you think somebody dies and then they're just not.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait,
weird.
What?
Super
How are they not dead? Wait, what? So there's like a lot of that, but as far as the movie production goes, this is the thing that pisses me off the most, because this is kind of like the whole selling point of the film. It's like, oh no, this time it's actually a movie production.
Yes, yeah.
And that this is the premise of the film, right? And everything else is an added layer to the concept. And the concept is so unexplored. And it's the utilization of it is just abysmal, because there's this director played by Adam Goldberg from Dazed and Confused. I I liked seeing him. I haven't seen him in a while. He has some lines in this that are really, really, really fucked up, really evil. He's saying to Russell Crowe's character, like, kind of, not under his breath, but like between them. I don't know if it's an attempt to like get a better performance out of him or whatever.
I don't know what that is.
But he's the guy you're like, oh my God, I can't wait for this guy to die. I hope this guy dies. And I don't know, like, I just thought that stuff was like, that was okay, we're going to get something out of that. That's going to go somewhere.
Like, there's antagonism.
Yes.
And like, yeah.
This production, and I thought for sure this whole thing was going to culminate to some big final sequence on set.
Sure.
With everyone, like, you know, they're filming and then the whole production goes insane and everyone's dying.
It's kind of like,
no.
Like a larger scale, because like Late Night with the Devil, right? Like it's not the same exact thing, but it's very similar in that it's like a live like broadcast talk show and there's crazy stuff happening. But this, so, you know, they do it, it's done very well, in my opinion, in that film, where they actually utilize like all of the elements of filming and there being a crew around and it being a production, and, you know, first and foremost. This just does not do anything with it. So this is definitely not a recommendation. I think that The Pope's Exorcism, while not great, was better than this film for sure for me. And I think this one is terrible.
Yeah, and there's, you know, this relationship between him and his daughter where they're building it to an obvious place, right? Like, we all kind of know where this is gonna go.
But they don't sell us on any of it because there's
no arc to it.
No.
Really. There's no connection bond kind of thing.
None.
It just kind of happens and then it's like done. And you're like, okay.
Super lame. Super, super lame. And that's like one of... I mean, I feel like the estranged child-parent relationship is one of the most done, like, relationship dynamics in drama.
Yeah.
It's super easy to like, do and to make relatable because so many people, but just, no.
The film's biggest sin for me, outside of everything else I've said, which was, like, the horror's terrible, right? And it's a horror film, first and foremost. So that's, like, probably its biggest sin. But for me personally, the biggest sin of this film is to set up this interesting concept of it being on a movie set and, you know, being able to have this different kind of sandbox to play in with that idea. And in the end, in the last 5 to 10 minutes during the climax, had you not watched the rest of the film, it would feel like every other climax of every other exorcism movie I've ever watched in my life.
A horrible climax.
I was just kind of like, we're just going to do this?
It was horrible.
Even with all of this set, like with all the other things you like introduced here, the whole different like concept, you're going to end it like this. This is how we're going to do it.
It was like one of the most anticlimactic climaxes too. I feel like there was no build up and release of anything like scary or... Like, there's just nothing. There's no fear of people being in danger or, like, what's going to happen. Like, you just know how it's going to go the entire time. And it's just really boring, honestly.
We also need to mention really quick, there's 3 characters in this movie that all are supposed to have something going on with them. Okay, so you have Sam Worthington's character from Avatar, like, the biggest movies ever made. He's the star of literally like the 2 most profitable films ever made in the world. His character is like, he's supposed to kind of have this relationship with Russell Crowe's character. And it's like, there's supposed to be this kind of like moral dilemma kind of thing maybe that presents itself, but it doesn't really do anything. And then it's just kind of done. And you're like, okay, that didn't really do anything. Interesting. Then you have this priest character who's on set as like an advisor to Russell Crowe. That comes to basically nothing except for the very end. There's like a little bit here and there, but it's kind of like, oh my God, you're so wasted. You're so useless here. And I think that's David Hyde Pierce or something. Anyway, and then we have this love interest for the daughter who's played by Chloe, who's a musician, and she is in this as well. So she's kind of just playing herself. But that's supposed to be something. And that's nothing.
All the relationships.
And it's just kind of like, how do you fail every single... That's why I'm saying they bit off way more than they could chew. They tried to do this, like, friend betrayal, this director who's saying all these terrible things. You've got the love interest for the girl. You've got the strange dad. You've got the... There's so many elements, and it's like, could you wrap them all up together in one film and make them work? Yeah, if you were competent.
Of course.
But if you're not... If you can't follow through on all of these things, then you need to cut out the things and focus on a few things.
It's just bad storytelling is why it doesn't work. Yeah.
Throughout.
All of the relationships are very superficial. So.
Because, like, I don't feel the pressure of the film.
No, I don't. Right? I didn't feel any pressure in the entire movie.
We don't get any, like, context for... I just, it's kind of crazy, like, how many things in this are a failure. And I was, like, okay with it at first. The first, like, 10 minutes, I was kind of like, okay. Like, everyone was shitting on this, and I was like, this will probably be one of those movies that I'm like, it's all right. You guys are shitting on it too hard.
No, I think this is a deservedly, like, a movie that is getting ragged on for good reason. Which sucks. Like, I hate to do that, and I really do try to be, like, positive about films because I know it's a lot of work and, a ton of people work on it. So I don't, as much as I hate the movie, I don't hate the people that worked on it or anything. It's just kind of like, it didn't work. It really didn't work.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
And I mean, Russell Crowe's Russell Crowe. He's had so many big successes in his life, and, love it or hate it, I don't care. Unhinged is one of my favorite films in the last 5 years, really 5 or 10 years. 5 years? How old ever? I fucking unabashedly adore that film and love him in it.
I think he's a very talented actor.
I need more of that guy.
This is like a good example, unfortunately, of how you can take a good actor and paired with a bad director. It's just it is such a cooperative art. Film just relies on so many elements and so many people being able to work together creatively, and it's hard. And when it doesn't, like, when somebody's off, it kind of, I feel like it just throws the rest of it off. You can only carry so much as a solid actor if you're getting bad direction or you have a bad script or whatever, so. And
it's very ironic that this is a exorcism movie where inside the movie is a movie where he's on set fucking up and making this really bad exorcism movie. Yeah. And then this movie is actually, it's like, no, we know this movie's shit. We're letting you know. That's like, it's almost on purpose. Like, see how bad he is? Look how bad this movie is. And it's like, this ain't Russell Crowe's fault. I've seen so many wonderful performances from him over the years. This ain't him. Yeah, and I like Ryan Simpkins as well.
The other actor, I was going to say the other actors in this film, like, I said that I didn't like the performances, but I think, really it's just like, I don't like the characters. I don't feel like there's chemistry between anybody. So, but I don't think the actors are, like, abhorrently bad or anything. Like, I think they're probably all fine and, like... I don't think it's their fault, I should say.
Last note, and then I'm done. It's incredible how bad the, like, possession scenes are.
Oh my gosh.
That's really, like, it's unbelievable. That's like as literally generic as you could possibly make possession scenes.
Where we've come with possession scenes now, too. Like, and even not, I mean, if you just take The Exorcist... like, as an example, as, like, the baseline of, like, what your, like, possession film should look like as far as the actual possession goes. Like, that should be the baseline, but, like, this is just not even close to that. It's so bad.
You know what needs to happen?
Somebody needs to remake this movie.
No. Definitely not.
Do it better.
Definitely not. No. They need to cast Russell Crowe in Mike Flanagan's Exorcist movie, and he can complete his trilogy. So
he can prove.
And he can make the comeback he was supposed to make in this movie.
That would be so funny if he
It would be hilarious.
Mike Flanagan's Exorcism.
The Pope's Exorcist, The Exorcism, Mike Flanagan's The Exorcist.
Bro.
Boom, boom, boom.
That would be hilarious.
Don't see this. It's not good. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.